Hey, welcome. This is the All-Pro team, and my name is Dwayne Hicks, and today I'm going to interview the interviewer. We're starting a new series I'm pretty excited about, Chris.
Yeah.
That we share about how we got into this business or how we got to here. I've been doing real estate for 20 years, but I'm pretty old, so I had another 20-year span that
He's very old,
unaccounted for. So
yeah.
I'll tell you about that. But one of the things that this series reminded me is that we are who we are because of people who helped us along the way.
Yeah.
And sometimes those people were family. Sometimes it was a neighbor, or friend, or a coworker, wherever you were employed or whatever. So I just wanted us to share a little bit of our story, because I think we were always talking about we want to invite people into our story and we want to be invited into theirs.
That's right, yeah.
So I think it'd be cool to do a little series with the All-Pro team where we talk about our story. So today I want to start off by interviewing you. How in the world did you get into real estate? So you have to walk me back a few years. So you're like what? In your mid-30s?
This feels like counseling.
Oh, really?
I need a couch.
How does that make you feel?
Well, this is not just coffee. No, I grew up not locally. I mean, I was in the Atlanta area, but by a single mom. She was a teenager when she had me, so wow. that was fun, And people always ask me, and it's crazy because when I tell my story or give my testimony, and obviously I was in ministry for 20-something years as well before we got into this, but I think it all starts back when I was a child, and I had my dad's father and my mother's father, they were roofers, and so... Yeah. That is always, if you shout out to the roofers out there.
Right. They're hardworking.
They're hardworking. They party hard, or at least back then.
Back then.
Yes, my side of the family. And so I guess, I don't know, Friday night went really well, and mom and dad snuck away. And here I came 9 months later. Start that book, Oprah. But anyways, and so, but growing up, we were it was like a family dynamic that was just chaos to a certain degree. And there's a lot of tough parts of my story that kind of chiseled me into who I am. And I got to give a lot of credit to my mother. I mean, single mom, growing up, taking care of me and my brother was not the easiest. This generation doesn't know the term latchkey, but I was definitely, I was a fan. I love to cook now because I was killing some hamburger helper while mom was killing herself to kind of
work and provide the hamburger helper,
keep us alive, And so it's amazing because we really didn't own homes growing up. In fact, we were kind of some of the folks that I love to get the opportunity to deal with that maybe aren't there yet to, purchase a home. But it was more about people. And I got to see at a young age the good side of people and the bad side of people. I got to see addiction and substance abuse and physical abuse. And, and people ask me all the time, man, why is integrity so important to you? Because I kind of grew up in a place that there was a lot of lack of, in distant family. And there was just a lot of chaos that kind of created who I am before we ever even get started on why I chose real estate. Just kind of sharpened me. And I had one of those God moments too, where we didn't go to church. We were unchurched. And the Lord kind of came and grabbed me, and I was the first Christian in our family. Okay. Yep. And proud to say now, and we get a lot of my family are our clients at this point, and they're all believers for the most part now, which is really cool. But it wasn't an easy track.
Right.
It wasn't an easy track,
Sometimes
honestly.
when you look at your life backwards, like everybody says you have 20/20 looking back.
That's right.
You can see clearly, but you can't always see what's coming, or you can't always make sense of the moment.
Yeah.
But now looking back, before you got into ministry, kind of tell a little bit about how the Lord got a hold of you. Yeah,
so that's what kind of the reason I tell you, kind of grew up a single mom, and we were multifamily housing in a single family household. So
we know about that.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's multiple generations that lived in our house, and so it literally took a village to raise Chris Reynolds, and that's not surprising to most of you. But what honestly, and God bless my dad, and he's a great person. Have a great relationship with him now. Incredible grandfather, but he just wasn't around. Yeah. And so I didn't have a father figure besides my grandfather, who was just, he was as, obviously I am white. Yeah, he is too, but he looked as dark as this because he was a roofer, And I remember touching his hands and his arms and like, good Lord, man, like
leather.
You're thirsty, like lotion up, baby. Yeah. But that's where the church became a good part of my life because I didn't have the most positive. I had loving, gosh, my family's so loving, but positive in the direction of the Lord influence in my life. And then as a teenager, when I became a Christian, the men in our church, kind of took me under their wing and, cool. Called me out, bro. I was reckless. Yeah. I was a good kid. You would never know it, but I was, this would be surprising to you, but I like to push the buttons, right? And so, but I just had no clue. Yeah. I was searching for kind of that path, and there were plenty of businessmen, great fathers that I know today, that snatched me up. I remember getting in trouble because Mom played both parts for a long time, and we were in such a part of a community in Villa Rica, Georgia, and we went to First Baptist Villa Rica, and a lot of those, if my friends would get grounded for something and I wasn't even there, I would get grounded as well because they all, association. Yes, the village kind of decided, no, he would have been a part of that,
If he could have, he would have.
Yeah, and so it just kind of helped give me a display of what a man of God looked like and what integrity looked like, because the only picture I had of being a man up until that point was work hard. Work hard was always a part of our DNA, but party hard, lose it all, live paycheck to paycheck, and it was just something I didn't want. Yeah. And
well, transition to, I know you were in ministry.
Yep.
And how did you transition from that kind of raised by village and the church, obviously church men. Yeah. How did you end up in ministry? How did that work?
Yeah, I'm one of those guys, I don't do anything kind of. And so when I became a Christian, I immediately said, well, if I'm a Christian, then I'm going to be a minister, which was just stupid. Gosh, I don't know why the Lord let me play that game for so long. But in that, so I started, at 18. Wasn't finished with college, got into youth ministry. John Price, Wally Sheets was my youth pastor growing up. And the dude was just insane.
I've heard good things about him.
Yeah, a man would have open heart surgery and then drive us to New York the next day. I don't know why our parents filled out that form and allowed that. But then as he transitioned and John Price came, I ministered under him for a while. And then I got involved in a college ministry out here at West Georgia. And I remember getting the opportunity of taking that from the campus of Midway and taking it to West Georgia and having the biggest college ministry, I think West Georgia has seen. And a part of that was just because I couldn't just be.
Yeah.
If God's going to save me from something, I believed wholeheartedly he was saving me for something. And so I just ran after it, man, with everything I got. And honestly, I had the world that needed to know the Lord right around me in that village, and so ministry just became a part of my life. I didn't realize anything other, honestly.
But I know you probably know this now because looking back, things are clearer, but you were influencing a lot of people along the way. You were ministering to people. You were helping them grow. Yeah. And then you were also watching other people who were out in front of you. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this little segment is to talk about people whose shoulders we stand on.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we stand on a lot of people's shoulders to be who we are today in real estate. Yeah. And so you spent years in ministry. I think your last position in ministry was executive pastor.
Correct.
At Crossroads.
Yeah.
In Douglasville.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the transition. What was going on with you when you transitioned to real estate?
Yeah, I was, it sounds all sexy that I jumped into Christianity and then was like, oh, I got to minister. I can't just be. But what that ended up doing to me was brought hardship, honestly. I was a little reckless in the fact that I spent a good bit of my life learning Scripture, working through Scripture for other people. And it there's this fun little thing that the church likes to celebrate where we die to ourselves, which I believe is biblical, and we're here to serve other people. And I caught fire to that, so much so that I did not feed myself. You know, everything. Now, I pick up the fork. Like, I preached that for many years. The church is not the Lord, and it's not their responsibility completely to raise you up in the way. Like, we have Scripture. So I'd pick up the fork, and I'd feed myself, and then I'd just give it out.
Yeah.
And so I just walked for many years in ministry empty. I mean, many years. And I knew the feeling, and I understood the feeling. And so I'd fill myself up again, and then I'd just regurgitate it, you know? And it's like, and so anxiety slipped into my life. A lot of my past from childhood, even though I could say straight face, if I didn't talk to counselors, because I was in therapy for many years, that I had a great childhood. You know, when I dug into that, what I thought was great and what I thought was okay wasn't maybe okay, you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, we did a good job of making it through. And so when I got in ministry, what the Lord did do was he brought me people that kind of grew up like me. And so it was natural. I wouldn't even say it was hard to be in ministry on a certain degree, because your story, though you're scared to tell a pastor, I'm like, bro, I could compete.
Oh, yeah.
I know this story. Yeah. That's my story.
Yeah.
And so it was really easy. And so I was uber relational. And so I was the office you wanted to come to and talk to. But the problem is, you'd come in with all this baggage, you'd leave it,
and you got to take it
and
somewhere.
I took it home because I didn't feel right leaving it sitting in the corner. And so your problems became my problems, so on and so forth, until my wife looked at me one day and said, I want my husband. I want him long term. You got to do something to help yourself. And she basically made me. And I remember going through therapy. It was the hardest thing I ever did, because I had to dig into things that I just didn't want to dig. No, God, no. And it also meant that I had to realize that, and I had to admit that I didn't have it all together. You know, and so, you know, I put on a good face. Even today, people are like, man, you're constant. You're, you know, just, I mean, you're always this, you're always that, or you're ready to get in front. And that's true, but I am an introvert. Honestly, deep down inside,
that's gonna stun people.
Yes, I go home empty. I mean, and so we were just talking about yesterday. You know, Shana said, "Hey, you're off today." Well, there's just times where my schedule and people. If I spend all day with people, I can't do anything but pour. Yeah. Whether it's not all serious, obviously, if you know me. Yeah. But it's just fun, and I give everything. And so when I get home, I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm slipping back into that. I got to stop and have some self-care. But the good parts that come into that, though, are, you know, is just caring for people. Yeah. When I say I want to be a part of your story, that is the most, that is just truth.
Well, one of the things I've really valued about you coming on the team, because you were a client before you, became a team member and became a realtor here at Metro West, but I genuinely, when you reach out to me, you're genuinely concerned about what's going on with my family, what's going on with me. And it's been kind of cool to have you as a teammate, because we're both a little bit similar cloth and background kind of thing with the ministry piece. But you're killing it in real estate because you care about people. Yeah. And if we serve enough people and help them get what they want, then we'll be fine. The income or the livelihood that we generate out of this business is really cool. So, I appreciate you being vulnerable today and open and honest about that, because I really think people that just meet you day to day may not know, but I say it all the time, the Lord is good about making beautiful things out of brokenness.
Oh,
and He takes broken people and makes them beautiful. And your story,
I was always beautiful.
Well, I wasn't going there. I was going to say there were broken pieces of your story, but he has beautiful.
Sure.
Kelly would agree you're beautiful now.
Yes. Oh, man. Especially shirtless. Yeah. Yes. Very beautiful.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this crazy bunch. We have a lot of fun here with the All Pro team, but we are also very real and very genuine. And I wanted this segment to be a little bit authentic and maybe vulnerable. Yeah. And I think we just kind of went there. So thanks for tuning in. If we can ever help be a part of your story, know that we've got scars from our own, and we sometimes know what doesn't work or what will work or how to help or, how to serve you.
I wrote that book.
You did?
Yes, I can help you there.
All right. Well, thanks. Tune in soon. We'll see you soon.
Here.